All right, my friends. So let's get into this. Let's turn the timer on so I don't get lost in the abyss of not knowing how long I've been going. And I'm trying to keep my readings to closer to an hour these days. Like obviously, like I always say that, and it's like 90 minutes, but I'm trying to say more with less. So I'm kind of it's a work in progress because I've had many 2-hour readings. But anyways, welcome to your reading. Let's go ahead and since I don't even know your last name, I just have your name. So let's go ahead and present that. But before that, I need to have all the aspects showing. Okay, let's go ahead and hit share screen. So I'll go back and forth in this reading between share screen and see my face. So okay, right off the bat, I mean, come on, like anyone knows, like anyone can look at this chart and just be like, look at this zone, look at that zone, right? This is an unbelievable zone, and it reminded me of something I want to read also about Moon. I mean, think about it, Moon exact conjunction with Pluto, 7:25 and 7:33, and then ascendant 7:44. So these three are all exact conjunction. That is very, very, very powerful. And we'll kind of break that down. And then we got obviously the sun in the 8th house, which is 8th house, the house of Scorpio. So you are an embodiment of the sun in Scorpio. I say this very rarely. When I have clients where it's like their charts are just exactly like how bullshit the horoscopes are like in the newspaper, like, oh, all Pisces will have this day, all blah blah blah, Aries will all get rich and all this stuff. It's like some of like those high, I mean, I don't ever look at those, to be honest. Like I just like I don't know, it's just never been my thing. Nothing against them. I'm sure there's some that are actually good. I just feel like it's very overly simplified astrology. But you may be the rare person that like when you read something about like Scorpio, it like actually kind of like makes sense because you have so much Scorpio in your chart. Like sun, like, or excuse me, like sun in the 8th house, and then the moon and the ascendants, like your big three are all implicated in Scorpio in some way. Now, I'm having a lot of problems with my Instagram on my phone, which is very annoying. Let's see if I can still find this. Yeah, I guess I just can't. I guess my Instagram is just broken, but I just use it on my computer. Whatever. Okay. Well, anyways, so we have that. We got some second house outers. Neptune 3rd. Okay. Jupiter 6th, very good. North node in Aries, okay. Which South node 12th, Libra. And then we've got this Taurus, this very well placed Taurus Venus, in the 7th, very, very well placed Venus, which is it's not opposing any of your Scorpio planets by degree, by degree, just by sign. And then of course, Chiron conjunct the sun. I mean, I literally, like, you can't make this stuff up. I have like back-to-back readings all the time where it's like there's this random thing, and like I'll have like 2 or 3 or 4 times in a row the client that had this. But my last client, you can check my YouTube, also had her sun conjunct Chiron. So of course hers is in the 10th house, but regardless, in a different sign, this is an indication of someone who is meant to be a healer in some type of way, right? Because Chiron is the wounded healer, and the sun is like the core essence of who we are, which of course we're going to be doing classes, so we're going to be learning a lot more about this. But overall, I'm still trying to do this reading as if we weren't doing classes, and kind of give it to you in that objective way. So Moving on, and I'll put my face back on in a second. So we got the 8th house Gemini, which I love. I actually really love how Gemini works in the 8th house. I find it so interesting because it's like this very social and dynamic and multifaceted. I always say the social butterfly energy, right? Gemini, multi-talented, creative. It can be anything and nothing. It's like it's such a enigma. But one thing it definitely can be is it can be a little bit surface level, not yours, not yours, trust me. But just Gemini as a whole can be a little bit surface level. And you know, it can be a little bit. It's a very, let's just say it's a very, very, very different energy than the 8th house / Scorpio, which is all about, as you know, the depths and going deep within, and it's a way more introspective like sign. And Gemini is this active, like adventurous, go with the flow, super, super social, like not really thinking like too deeply about things, in the sense of like kind of just like it likes to move. It's the most curious kind of, it's such a dynamic sign. But then it's in the 8th house. So it's just like, you know, there's a lot of depth that's added to it. But talk about that in a little bit. So yeah, and then moving on, we have, you know, some Cancer. We have 2 personal planets there, Mercury and Mars conjunct, which is an interesting conjunction to have. And Black and Lilith is close by too, which is not a planet, but it has implications. Midheaven in Leo, interesting. That's very interesting, actually. Judging, you know, that we're going to be working together, that your midheaven, which rules kind of like your career and you know, your public persona, all these dharma, like what you're meant to do on like a big world, like a big like on a large scale. It's conjunct my south node, which, you know, rules my karma in my past life. So that's an indication that there's some type of karma. And, you know, like it's exactly what you'd want from a teacher. You would want someone who's going to be teaching you something like astrology to have their south node conjunct your midheaven. 100%. All right, so let's flash my face back on. Let's kind of jump into this. Where'd it go? No. Stop share. Okay, there I am. Lighting is good. Camera can be pointed a little bit more. This. I go back and forth between doing these on my desk and my I didn't turn the timer on. Jeez. My desk and my couch. I just like sitting on the couch. I don't know, it's just more comfortable. Sometimes I like to go on the desk. Actually, you know what? No, it's kind of cold in here. Yeah, let's do it here. So, anyways, okay. So diving in, you know, first thing I'm looking at, I'm really looking at moon and sun. I'm really thinking, okay, what's the relationship, right? I'm also looking for major aspects from outer planets, the sun or the moon, and I see, you know, Saturn and Uranus are opposing the sun, and then Pluto is obviously conjunct the moon. And then I'm also seeing, you know, just looking for the personal planets, which are the big 3 plus Mercury, Venus, and Mars. I'm looking for any aspects. I'm just scanning to see if there's any big fish. And yeah, I see Neptune opposite that conjunction you have of Mars and Mercury. So that's interesting. And besides that, no hard aspects. Yeah, some trines. But anyways, so we have here, right? This is like, I think Tupac. The amount of celebrities of especially like artists that have their moon rising, it's amazing, right? I even live in a location where my astrocartography makes it so my moon is rising. I didn't do that on purpose. It's just the way it is, right? And what happens is that it makes it really, really easy for you. You know, like the ascendant is kind of like your outer personality. It's how you come off, right? It's your your outer personality. It's a mask that you wear. So in Scorpio, it can be the kind of person that takes up. Sometimes, like I don't really get intimidated by people, but sometimes when I'm around, like, I mean, intimidated. That's a weird statement to make, Jesse. Let's just say that, like, I'm not the kind of person that, like, get scared very easily, unless someone's like has an axe and they're running at me, like by energies and stuff. But definitely, like, I feel, or like Scorpio risings, they can have this energy where like you feel like this real intensity, right? And they won't even necessarily be saying that much, but they carry this like power with them, right? And it can be a little bit like too intense for some people, and like too real, too raw, too real, right? And as I tell every reading, this is kombucha, not alcohol. I rarely drink alcohol. So I've never seen something like this, by the way. This ascendant conjunct Pluto conjunct Moon all in the same degree within within point 19. It's like, wow. We kind of have to take them one by one, like just to like. So the Pluto is kind of like, let's think of it like it's like pouring gasoline. I don't want to say on the fire, because the fire implicates it's like a bad thing, which it's not at all. It kind of just like it just like makes all of this, which I'm about to say, like just more, right? But basically, like, when your moon is rising, you're someone who tends to have a very, very good link between your inner emotions, right? Because the moon is what's hidden. Like, not many people see the moon, right? So when your moon is conjunct your ascendant, you can be the kind of person that, like, what you see is what you get, right? Like, people there's not this big disconnect between, like, you're easily able to express your emotions, even if they're very intense. And there can be like some shadow material that comes out. Someone who's very, very, very easily able to, like, people see, like, the way you look and the way you act is very linked. There's a very big link to your internal self. Like, let me give you an example of why this is so good by giving you an opposite example. Like, let's say, for example, that instead of having this, you had your sun in Scorpio and your moon in Gemini, right? Your sun's there, but like the moon is what runs the show. It's like it's the undercurrent. So or even just anything where it's like your ascendant is one way and your moon is just completely different. People would, through your personality, I'm actually quite a good example of this, because I'm a Pisces sun, and my ascendant's Leo, my moon Sag. So I guess it is kind of still the sun, but it's like basically like people see the Leo, right? And this doesn't count to people like you who experience clearly through my astrology, my Pisces side, but people in everyday life, maybe they don't know an astrologer, maybe people from my past, they definitely sense the Leo way more, right? The Pisces doesn't really come up, but it creates difficulty, because you feel like there's like a feeling like people can start to create expectations of like who you are, and then when they see that like it doesn't actually match up with your true insides, there's issues, right? Now, for you, with this all this going on, it definitely let me check, see if the Instagram thing got healed. It's so annoying. It's been so long on all these voice messages, and now they're just not sending. Oh, nope, still not. Okay. I guess just whatever, turn my internet on. All right, let's see if I can actually search up someone's this post I really want to read about Moon conjunct Pluto. It's not working. Freaking Instagram. But yeah, so like that's what one very, very good aspect of it. Now, another thing with that is that because you're able to express your darkness, and it's not like a surprise to people, you're able to have it can really affect your relationships in a very positive way, because people aren't surprised, right? They're not surprised when, let's say, for example, like you have this like scorpionic kind of, let's say, this Scorpios usually like really love privacy, for example, right? So like people wouldn't be surprised that on many levels that you're someone that likes privacy, that you're someone that likes space and things of that nature, right? So it creates lots of issues with that, with people kind of projecting on you and thinking that you're going to do one thing when you're not. People kind of have a better understanding of what you are, who you are. Okay, let's see if I can find this post. It's very short. Oh, here it is. Got it. Okay, I'm on my computer Instagram. Okay, so Moon in Scorpio. So this is about Moon conjunct Pluto, right? And remember, you have this on the ascendant. So all of what I'm about to read, this is going to come off in as a part of your outer personality. So imagine this intensity channeled in the outer personality. Before I go into this, actually, I want to say that the Gemini part, which is very light, it's interesting because they're 5 signs away. So it's like the Gemini part is going to actually be very advantageous because it's going to make obviously a very multi-talented individual. I know that about you just from talking to you. I can feel it. But it's going to make it so you're able to. It's going to take away some of that potential darkness that can come with Scorpio. And people just say that because people want everything to be light and just like flowers and just everything that's nice and spicy, sugar, spice, everything's nice. Like it's not always like that, right? And people can be really afraid of their own shadows. So when they meet someone like you, who can kind of not trigger, but prefers to have the more intense conversations, prefers to kind of keep things away from the surface level and really delve deep into different matters, whether it be astrology, whether it be like a really soul evolving conversation. Not everyone's ready for your level of evolution. So just want to put that out there. But what I was saying was that the Gemini, it actually helps because it makes it gives you an ability to have this other side of you that's a lot more digestible, that's a lot more that can be chatty, and that can be that can kind of adapt. It's very adaptable, so you can kind of adapt to your surroundings really, really well. But you really do find yourself at home when you're as a Scorpio moon, when you're really able to express your the real depths of your emotions, which makes who you choose as friends super, super important, right? Because Scorpio moon, the moon is the emotional need. And Scorpio moons, every single one I know, they have a need for privacy. They have a need for being able to express any kind of emotion, to people that are close to them. What else? There's a need to, they are people who are here to go through these death, rebirth, and transformations on a deep emotional level. So that's why they're such deep people, is because they don't want to be around some bullshit that's not going to help them grow. Sometimes there can be an obsession though with growth, an obsession with what's the word? An overly serious demeanor. So this is why I always talk about the sun and the moon, why the Gemini is so great, right? Because Gemini adds this funness to you, this spark, this probably funniness, this ability, this more personable, less intense. So you have that you have both sides, which is very, very good. I have the same thing in a different way with Pisces, and then it's different actually. It's different. Pisces is not like Scorpio. They're just both water signs. Okay, so I'm going to read. So Moon in Scorpio is already deep, psychic, and intuitive. And I'm going to kind of interject with my own things throughout this, by the way. So of course, when I've done so many charts in my life, I forget to say the obvious things. I suppose people know that know those things about Scorpio, but super psychic. It's a sign of the psychologist, and very deep, and very, very intuitive. They have you'll have the built-in lie detector, built-in BS detector, which can help you in whatever you choose. It's also very much about power. Low vibe Scorpio, they try really hard to acquire power, and sometimes they'll do fucked up things to get there. High vibe Scorpio, they know they have that power within themselves, so it's about having that power within as opposed to external. Low vibe Scorpio people, they don't see that power in themselves that they actually have, and because they do have it, they are able to get it in an external way that can sometimes be not good. Okay, so restart. Moon Scorpio, already deep, psychic, intuitive. Pluto conjuncting here gives more power to the moon, but we have to define power. Is it a positive power or a negative power? I'd say both. In the earlier years, like most placements, we might experience the negative side of displacement, such as uncontrollable psychic powers, pain, an intense aura that is found to be intimidating by others, desire to control, and mental self-harming. After the soul, right? So that's kind of like it can be very difficult growing up with this kind of placement, because like you'll have these emotions, but you'll also like they'll play a huge part of your personality, right? So you are such a person that like has had to let go, right? You probably like lived different eras of your life that you feel like you were like an actor in different parts of those different eras, right? That you were playing, like there's an actor that was playing you because you changed so much. That's like the really, really Scorpionic chart like yours. But yeah, as I was saying, like the childhood can be very difficult because like people, you're a lot deeper than most people, but with that Gemini, adaptability. So at the soul evolves, the positive qualities of this placement emerge, which first and foremost is power. Pluto in any placement in a positive sense represents power. If you can handle and understand the conjunction, this means a huge level of emotional power. Then you can control your intuition and see the cycles of life and death better. The moon also represents the mother. So everyone I've told this to, like they always are like, yep, true. So it also represents the mother and the woman in our lives. Yes, there might be lots of emotional manipulation around you, but the placement helps you learn how to deal with them. So yeah, I think usually on the internet you might read horrible descriptions of the relationship with the mother. For the people who have this placement, what I see most is that these people usually have overprotective mothers who are afraid to lose their children. See the Hades, Demeter, Persephone myth. This also shows that mothers of these people had a difficult pregnancy, yeah, typically, with emotional and physical pain. So just about, especially until the child's first Saturn return, so yeah, 29 and a half, 30 years old, mothers can be overly protective. Of course, if Moon/Pluto gets squares and oppositions, we might think of emotional or any kind of abuse or a horrible wish to the mother. What is he trying to say? He's Turkish, so I don't know. One sec, let me decode this. English is it's good. It's just sometimes there's confusions. I see. He's saying if this conjunction like gets like transit, wait. I think what he's trying to say is like if there's like let's say transit Saturn or transit Uranus squaring or opposing your moon as a transit, right? That there can be issues like abuse and just very, very tough emotional times. Yeah. And is that what he's saying? Or he's saying like if instead of having this like Moon Pluto together, if it's actually Moon square Pluto or Moon opposite Pluto, then there could be like lots of abuse or a really horrible relationship with the mother. So like the conjunction, I think that's what he's trying to say. The conjunction isn't going to be like it's the fusing. So the fusion of the power. So maybe your mother played a really powerful and continues to play a very powerful role in your life. So just wanted to add that in there. I like to read some stuff in some of my readings. I'm all over the place. I'm random with my readings, but I always read that one for that conjunction. So what does emotional power mean? That's something we can talk about in our sessions. As a Scorpio, as a Scorpio moon, it's a difficult moon placement, right? Because there can be like such a moodiness, such an up and down. And but you're blessed with this really special ability, which is that one, it's on the ascendant, two, it's trine Mercury and Mars, and then it's also conjunct Pluto. So you're someone who's able, even though like you're really able to vocalize your Scorpio moon, which a lot of people struggle with, right? A lot, especially men. You saw my you sure you saw my article that I wrote a few days ago, 3 days ago, was it? One of my best articles ever. I'll say it when I'm good. I'll say it when I'm bad. It was an article I knew I had to read or write. So 1 second. Let's see if it finally sent. Nope. So annoying. Imagine like sending like 12 minutes worth of voice messages to someone, and then like they just don't send. Whatever. But yeah, either way, like just the overall energy of the Scorpio moon it's very intense. For men, it's very difficult because they have to learn to express their emotions, but you have lots of aspects that make it so you're able to do that. So things like journaling, things like writing, anything like speaking your mind, like in this, like I said, having it as your ascendant means that you're most likely able to do that very well, where there's a real level of authenticity. Now astrology is going to be a mega powerful tool for you. You said you want to be a professional astrologer. I believe you. You have the chart of an astrologer. You know why? Because astrologers, people like you and me, we take there's a lot of power, and the good kind of power that comes from understanding astrology. When you understand that, hey, I have a Scorpio moon, conjunct Pluto, you know that you're dealing with a ton of your shadow. So at a young age, you were just confronted with your shadow, and it may have been overwhelming, right? But with age, you build this. You're born 87, so yeah, you've been past your Saturn return. You build this resiliency, and now it's all uphill, right? And what's great about this is that it can create someone who has this ability to to really like impose like what they're emotionally really true. Like, okay, so you have an emotional attachment to astrology. Perfect example. Instead of just dreaming about it, instead of just thinking about it, instead of just having it be like a little passion, this is this on your ascendant, like the moon linked with your ascendant, right? The deepest emotions, the hidden part linked with like the most shown part. There's a link. So you're like, you know what? I want to learn astrology. I don't give a shit. Like, and it creates a very authentic person. That's why I've met people that have this, and I've always liked them because I've always felt like they're not hiding something. And Scorpio can be a sign that's very hidden. There can be like deception and all that. But I've always felt like when it's conjunct, the ascendant, it's like it's someone who they don't have to hide it. Because they're not like a lot of Scorpio moons feel very misunderstood. That's why it's a very when it's a very difficult placement. It can be, right? Because like you imagine like as a male with a toxic masculinity, if the moon's Scorpio and the sun's like whatever, like let's Sag or Leo, like it's gonna be very difficult. But in your case, no. So then how does all that, and also Scorpio rising people, they're very analytical, they usually have like very very beautiful eyes, and they have like I said, this presence that in your case is like also like an emotional power. Pluto on the ascendant, it means that you're really really here with a very special mission, and you're here to really really affect. It's like mad leadership potential, right? And mad, like I don't want to use the word swag because that's not like the right word, but that's not the word that I'm thinking of. Is like mad charisma, an ability to like really like when you speak, people listen, right? And yeah, what else about ascendant in Scorpio? yeah, they really like to analyze. They like to kind of like look around and observe, and it's very good. Like Scorpio energy is made for research, which no surprise, right? But like the thing is with you, it's like you have to be emotionally, like it has to have emotional purpose, right? So yeah, but like once you are emotionally involved in something, Pluto is like that ball, that's this dense ball of intensity where you can just like channel like so much into it, right? You can just channel so much into that Pluto, and like the Pluto can just channel. Excuse me, the Pluto is like this dense ball of energy, so it's connected to your moon. So whatever you're emotionally attached to, you become super emotionally attached. So I always talk about relationships. So that has implications, of course, with relationships. The only you'll need. Okay, so you'll need someone who at the very least understands and makes an effort to truly understand and like, and probably, I don't want to say like a spiritual person for sure, but someone who definitely like understands that Scorpio moons are not like, they're going to be up and down with their moods, right? And that someone who also is you're able to really feel safe around on an emotional level, like spiritual level, like where you can really like say anything and everything around that person, and there's nothing bad that happens. So let's see. The fact that it's a fixed sign rising, you're able to like really go towards like whatever you decide to do, like you're able to really go towards it, for the long term. It can also be very stubborn, Scorpio. It can be very stubborn. Yeah, very, very, very reserved. But yeah, there's like this huge fate in your chart with these like confrontations and battles that come up, right? Like crises, especially emotional crises that come up, because the whole point of them is that they're pushing you into this death, rebirth, transformation. So yeah, it's all about like really like finding like integrity and just like always like every action is coming from that place of integrity. So yeah, I imagine that like when you hear this, you're like, yeah, like I've changed. Like there's probably been like different eras in your life where you were just like so different, and more than, I know that's how it is for everyone, but like for this kind of, for people like like Scorpio eighth house people, it's like, and I made a post about the eighth house. If you go back, I don't know when it was, a few weeks. It's called like the eighth house person or eighth house people, something like that, and that could be like a good. I think I have a feeling you read it already. So that's kind of that. Moon in the first house though, right? It's that's like someone who is, once again very adaptable, like someone who enjoys changes, and someone who's very independent, right? Who's a kind of a trailblazer, a pioneer, someone who even though there's not Aquarius energy, someone who just does what they want to do, and it's good for popularity, it's good for leadership, and what else can I add? Definitely ambitious, super ambitious. That's already should be clear by now. Yeah, able to go with the flow. So then, okay, how does it relate to the sun and Gemini in the eighth? Well, okay, first of all, like I said before, the sun is conjunct Chiron. So that means that you are here on this planet. You're meant to be a healer. That's just how it is. You are meant to be a healer, but every healer has to go through their own healing, right? So there's probably some issues. Maybe it's like early childhood stuff where, which I don't see, like, let's see. Maybe it is like the mother, like, or whoever the moon represents in your chart. It's sometimes the father is usually the least dominant parent. Maybe there was a level of like intensity and just like like domineering, that kind of like power struggle, like trying to like overpower you, that kind of thing could have happened. So there definitely can be that. And yeah, with a sun conjunct Chiron, I mean, that's the sun can be the father. That can speak to, you know, there being pain around the relationship with the father. Simple as that. So healing whatever pain that is really what moves you towards, and astrology can play a huge role in that. And I have no idea like what kind of like emotional and psychological work you've done, but basically, like, you know, having a Gemini sun conjunct Chiron in the 8th house is like, you're meant to be a healer, and you're meant once again, it doubles, triples, whatever, quadruples, whatever you want to say. That whole everything I said about like feeling like, I have an 8th house sun, by the way, so it's no surprise, right? 8th house sun, like it just like quadruples, or what is it, quintuples, I can't think of the word, times 10. You know, that whole thing about feeling like you were like the different eras in your life were just so much more different, and that you felt like maybe an actor who was playing you in previous times. It can be super dramatic. Yeah, 8th house Gemini, you know, though, it's like, what I like about that, and I was kind of speaking about it earlier, is that it doesn't make it so your chart's too serious. Like if you had, let's say, instead of Gemini here, if there was Cancer, right, which is the next sign over, so just use that as an example, or Capricorn, right? You know, that would make it like way too intense. Like I know someone who is a you know, Scorpio Capricorn. It's unfortunate, you know, he has a good heart, but you know, he is just like, I don't think I've ever heard him joke. I don't even know if he has a sense of humor. And it's like, he's just like a workhorse, which is great, but like, it's like he really lacks like the social ability. And he was, you know, yeah, he really I found it to be a very difficult place. And not that every Scorpio Capricorn is, it's just that there's, when you have that, there's a need in life to not take things so seriously, right? There's like this balance between taking things too seriously and then not taking them seriously enough. And it's like, you know, be somewhere in the middle, you know, or maybe take some parts of life seriously. Like for me, I like to joke around. I like to be a kid. I like to, you know, and that's one thing I really love about my girlfriend, is that she's very like that too. She's very, well, actually, sometimes she's super fucking Scorpio, Jesus Christ. But like, you know, we have fun, you know, we're kids. We're like both like kind of childish. So it's like having that right balance though, right? So that's really important. But yeah, like the Chiron there, it's like meant to be healer, and that's kind of like the Gemini there. And Vertex also conjunct the sun. Whew. You know, that's going to be saying that like fate is going to be playing a really large role in your life. And that basically, yeah, it kind of doubles down on the fact that your doorway to higher awareness is through the 8th house, the death, rebirth, and transformation, learning about the occult, you know, even sexual stuff, like sexual taboos, right? You know, just whatever, you know, it's also good for inheritance / like benefiting from other people's resources, right? So that's very good. And yeah, like Gemini 8th house definitely adds a lightness to that, right? So it's very good. And also like it makes one very like communicative, and it gives one the desire to really want to communicate with different people who are also interested in this and learn about it, right? Speak about it is learn about it. So like this makes complete sense. But yeah, Sun and Gemini, like I don't really need to go further into that. But then Chiron and Gemini, right? In the 8th house, there can be some issues with sexuality, some pain around that. Like also it can just be a very like psychic, like Chiron placement where you're just like really tuned into the undercurrents, like the painful undercurrents. And yeah, someone who could be like a energetic, because like the water houses are 4, 8, and 12, but 8 and 12 are more psychic, because it's like 8 is Scorpio, 12 is Pisces, Pluto, and you know, Neptune. 4 is Cancer, the moon. They're all very intuitive. But yeah, So it's really important to know that, to kind of like understand that could be the case. And you can be like a very intuitive healer, but also you have to really watch out for like taking on other people's energies. So Chiron and Gemini, and I'm not seeing any other indications. But most people who have this, they in some way, okay, this is what I'm getting from this, right? Maybe at a young age you were so deep and so like serious, like so like intense, like with your Scorpio energy, like so like older than your age. Like maybe you were young, but you were just thinking way deeper, right? And because of that, other kids maybe made fun of you, or maybe like you were just misunderstood, right? You were ahead of your time, which led to some conflict, and that's what maybe caused you to kind of shut up and fear communicating with other people, because like you suffered through some of these communications, right? Maybe even early schooling was painful, right? So yeah, it's like all about like, which I don't think is an issue for you, but right now, just judging by our few conversations, like I think it's about like opening up the throat chakra and being able to express all of these. Okay, here it is. This 8th house sun in Gemini is about being able to express all these super complex ideas into a digestible Gemini, fun even, way. There you go. There it is. Boom. Okay, so that's kind of the big three. We see how they connect. They definitely connect because like they connect. I showed how like the 8th house is Scorpio, and that's kind of the balance of the two. Now let's see. Elements. Is there any earth? Fire. Okay, you got earth. Yeah, you have earth, so you have Taurus, Venus. I don't think you have fire though. Yeah, you have Jupiter, but I don't count that as a personal. It's like a middle planet. It's not a personal planet. All right. And then none of this. Yeah. So basically, when you lack fire, actually, like the fact that you have that Pluto ascendant moon is gonna like actually like make it so even though you lack fire, it's like that's kind of like very fucking fiery, because it's just like this super intense energy that just is on your ascendant, so you're able to really like move towards things. But usually people who lack fire in their chart, they can be a little bit wishy-washy. It can take them a lot of time and a lot, like they really they really like need that push in the back to move towards things. And but like it can be good because, let's see, 1 second, hold on. It can be good because like fire can be very like what's the word, impulsive, and it can just be very important to not be like that, and to kind of like analyze things more. And that's what your chart shows, right? As someone who's definitely more analytical. But yeah, the lack of fire can show up in many different ways, and it can make someone lack that first push. But once you start that thing, it's game over. You like, once you decide like I'm doing this, like you are doing it, and you have that Plutonian like extra, like think about like you're running a marathon, you have this like little extra ball that you can just like it's like like steroids or something, like you have that when it comes to studying and that Scorpio, like whatever you're passionate about, right? So that's really good. Very competitive energy too. So even though you lack fire, usually people that lack fire can lack that competitive energy. But the fact that you have that Plutonian energy, that Mars / Pluto rule your chart, that pushes a lot of that away. So I want to put that to bed. So okay, next three, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. We want to do the personal planets before we fully get into the outer planets. Mercury, you have it in where is it? It's hiding from me. Yeah, it's with your Mars. So it's in Cancer. It's making aspect to to Mars. So and it's opposite Neptune. So yeah, Mercury in Cancer, it's gonna make one, like to speak about emotions, like to speak about things that are more deep. It's in the 9th house also, so you're gonna be very keen on exploring like the realms of knowledge and wisdom, and astrology is very ninth house, yeah, in my opinion. Like anything philosophical, also like traveling different cultures, anything that teaches you about like the grand philosophy of life and in grand truth, right? And in Cancer, yeah, there's like, it typically makes like communications with family really important. And it's someone who tends to communicate in a quite grounded, quite calm way. Now, with that said, the fact that the Mars is conjunct it, right? Mars being this like kind of this planet about like the leftover animal instinct, right? And then you have Black Moon Lilith right there too. Now, this is like a very interesting part of your chart in the ninth house. Let's just say first, Mars in the ninth is going to give you this real drive. Like whatever you think, whether it is traveling physically to different countries in foreign cultures, or whether it is traveling metaphorically to where you're able to like kind of like what we're going to be doing is traveling metaphorically, right? You have that drive towards there, because Mars, whatever house it's in, it drives you towards that. And it's in Cancer, so that relates to the emotions. So whatever can give you a better understanding of your own emotions, you're gonna you're gonna be going towards it. Now a Mercury in Cancer typically will be a little bit shy. But with Mars there, it's going to give you lots of courage to speak your mind, to speak about your emotions, which is a very, very good thing to have. Now, with that said, so Mercury to Mars, yeah, it's kind of like making yeah, there's a real like a real what's the word, syncing between like your communication, like how you communicate, what you talk about, things you're interested in talking about, and how you talk, and what you go towards in life, right? One sec. This eye keeps bugging me. So besides that, it's very good for like having like very quick decision making, which like Cancer, Mars and Mercury can be difficult in that sense, where it can make someone like more like held back in terms of like their assertiveness. It can make someone like less assertive than they'd like to be, but the fact that you have that insane, in a good way, insane. I'll flash the chart a little bit to re-show, but like that ascendant moon Pluto, that's crazy. That's gonna really kind of push a lot of that away. But yeah, it's very good for having like a sharp tongue, rapid reflexes, and also like being a good leader and being able to like make that decision in the heat of the moment. Like I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and really, really good for debating. Any like yeah, that's what I was looking for, like debating and like being able to kind of like yeah, think of arguments and being witty and stuff. But also can make one very direct in their communications. So it's really important to kind of like control like any of the impulsive side. But the thing is that it's in Cancer, so like if this was in Aries, I'd be like, yo, you need to really like chill and just like watch out, before you like say something that's impulsive. But the fact that it's in Cancer, it's going to make you, Cancer is a very laid back sign. It's going to make you, it's going to have more of a effect on it's going to be less like that, less impulsive, more chill, and just add a little bit of firepower to what would otherwise be, if these were not conjunct, at least for the Mars, like kind of weak energies, right, in terms of assertiveness. But that is kind of pushed away. So but yeah, there can definitely be issues with arguments, especially, and this goes to your Black Moon Lilith, around like emotions. So yeah, because there's such a good intellect in terms of like arguing, you can be like the expert at like getting your way when it comes to like having like kind of arguments in communicative battles, you could say. But yeah, just being able to use intelligence and this wittiness can actually, it can be good, but it can also be bad, right? And that's the Black Moon Lilith, right? Which I'll flash the chart. Hold on. Okay, so the Black Moon Lilith, it represents like, it's not an actual part in your chart. It's right here. it's more so like you at your lowest, like when you're I think of it like when you're in a low place, the black Lilith is like kind of what comes out. So in Cancer, in a water sign, it's about like it can be about like emotional manipulation. So maybe like you're very very good at bringing people onto your side. And also, Black Lilith in Cancer can relate to like playing victim a little bit, I guess you could say, that there can be a tendency to do that, a tendency to use your high emotional intelligence in like kind of a manipulative way. I can't really think of any examples, but yeah, like getting people like to feel bad for you, for example, so you can have them on your side for something. And also there's a whole nother like potential where it's like, Cancer is about like the Cancer, like basically like it's a crab that climbs back in the shell. So that's something that has to be watched out for. Like once they're hurt, they climb back in the shell, and it's really really hard for them to like truly trust again. And as a Scorpio, I would imagine that definitely is the case. That and also watching out for like being vengeful, and also saying things right, because it's conjunct Mercury. Like as a Scorpio, like how to destroy people. Like if you want to, especially with all this stuff in the eighth house, like people's dark secret. Like, another thing about eighth house sun is that people come to you with their secrets. Like you are the person that people just naturally like know that they can trust, and you probably are like me. Like I'm the same kind of person. Like I know so many secrets, and I just like keep them locked in a vault. I just like almost like forget about them, honestly. But I just like I get to hear them, and then people like tell me, and they know that I'm not going to tell anyone. So that's kind of how it could be for you. But even like without even using those, because you still would probably honor those like in an argument or in a tough situation. You just like, because you're advanced like emotional and intuitive intelligence, being able to see to the bottom of someone and really understand who they are, really see through people, exactly what hurts the most. So it's like, yeah, watching out for that. And then the ninth house, I would say it relates to like trying to push your opinions on people, and watching out for that potential. I don't see that energy really showing up in that many other parts of your chart. Maybe like the Jupiter Aries can be a little bit like, intense. Look at like, in that kind of stubborn way. But yeah, that's just one potential. So now we have to talk about the fact that this Neptune is opposite this. That's super important, right? And also, how is this? One second. Somehow I didn't talk about your sun opposite Saturn and Uranus. So now we're going to go into aspect mode. I usually would have talked about the sun opposite Uranus and opposite Saturn before I jumped in the other ones, but it doesn't really matter that much. We're here now. So I'll go ahead and go back to my video. So sun opposite Saturn. So like once again, like in my client yesterday, it's just so funny, had this exact same thing. A lot of times that's issues with the father. When it's the sun, so your Saturn return was probably a time of like amazing, like, and it's exact degree, like it's 17 degrees sun, 17 degrees. So it just makes it so you feel like you're restricted, right? Like you feel like you're very very much held back. And but once you hit 30, you've hit it already, I know, but like once you hit your Saturn return, a lot of that energy kind of starts to peel away, and it becomes a lot easier to really express the highest energy, that Gemini sun. But yeah, before that, it could feel like, one step forward, two steps back, then two steps forward, one step back, and then two steps forward, four steps back, like just like this constant like difficulty when it comes to like moving forward in life, and really and there can be lots of frustration that comes, and even depression, right? Even though it's not the moon, it's still, Saturn does bring that. So there can definitely be like this potential. Now, So, I think power dynamics also plays a huge role in it. Like it goes back to this whole theme of power, and it's like when you take your power too much from the external, that's when issues can happen. Right. So it's about really like that's the karma, right? This is the karma that you have, is like that you're being pushed to go within yourself and to find these like internal values, these internal places of strength that you can always come back to in times of need. Yeah, it's very, very inhibiting. And yeah, like I said, lots like there can either be like an absent father who like literally isn't there, or just like a father who has like a very weak influence. And yeah, it like in many charts I've seen, it creates someone who has to like become their own father from a young age, which like the rest of your chart totally complements, because it definitely shows this person that had to grow up really quick, or who was already like a grown up like really young. And because of that, it can have issues with relationships, because it can make someone like yeah, really, really, really serious person, right? And not issues, just like very particular, like about what kind of mate you'd go after, right? And sometimes people with this, they'll be the kind of people that like they prefer to like date slash have older friends or date older people. And the issue with it is like perfectionism. Like maybe there's like a message like you were like what you did was never good enough, and being too critical of yourself, and then that can obviously like get projected onto other people, and being really critical of other people. And yeah, overall, like usually people that have this have like issues with self-esteem when before they hit the Saturn turn, where they have like something that happens, or like the energy that gets kind of removed, and then they're left with all the hard work and this like ability to like kind of power through and have this persistence in whatever area of life, whether it's work or relationships or just whatever, right? This inner strength, they're left with that, but all like that negative energy, it just goes away. All of the stuff that was holding you back before, Saturn's like, okay, your work is done, peace, have fun with like all the strength that you've gained and resiliency. But like, yeah, it's really, really good also for critical thinking and just being super studious. And yeah, it was really good for me to know about that, right? So then there's the one with Uranus, right? This is a very, very rebellious one. So with the rest of your chart, this is interesting because it's like Sun opposite Uranus. It can, first of all, it makes someone very like it's very good for intelligence. Makes someone like quite futuristic, eccentric, controversial. Also like a very, very private type of individual, especially with the 8th house Sun. But basically, there's this, I guess you could say, yeah, this real deep freedom loving, independent, like I need to be my own person, break away from whatever conditioning that's there at a very young age, right? And yeah, it's like the struggle for independence, which can be related to the struggle to explore like your own unique individuality, which with the Saturn opposition can kind of inhibit you like truly exploring who you really are. But even with all these Scorpio energies, these 8th house, it's like there's situations that are pushing you because they're oppositions, which they tend to relate to like actual events, like that karmic events that like actually push you into that, right? So a big thing with this can be like anxiety. There can be anxiety issues, like thinking the grass is green on the other side. Like a lot of times it comes like with the father. Once again, there can be like lots of uncertainty in that relationship. And yeah, like sudden change can be like a struggle to deal with, even though like change is like this huge thing that you're meant to really understand in your lifetime, right? And to really like welcome, like letting go and change. So let's go. I would say sometimes like it can make someone like piss off like more traditional people. But like the whole point is like learning to value like like some of your more unorthodox kind of ways of, because when your journey is so like internal, eighth house, like exploring yourself on these deep levels, it's like, you know, you're gonna probably be different than most people, right? So it's like learning how to really own that, and that's what's very, very important. So like how supportive your parents were, and like even teachers or people like in your life early, that's gonna really, really be important. So make sure we talk about that when we have like our sessions, right? Because I still want us to like, I mean, I'll know. I'll know. I'll definitely know, like from all our teaching sessions. Yeah. So definitely like social justice kind of activist kind of energy. Very, very big on like human rights and things being like freedom, like individual freedom, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's kind of like maybe like kind of like a revolutionary type, like pioneer. You said that word, like type energy, and we'll talk about later what that means in the second house. Now, okay, moving forward. So the fact that you have, like I was saying before, we were talking about the Mars and the Mercury and in the north, in the Black Moon Lilith in Cancer, like Black Moon Lilith in Cancer. I keep seeing this thing. Yeah, it's just like once again, like like emotionally manipulative. It's just a tendency. It's like when you're at your darkest, and it's like it's not something it's not an actual planet. It's figurative. It's like based on a calculation of the apogee of the moon, right? And yeah, like withdrawing your love and turning away from there can also be a tendency with Black Lilith, like with this position, to like when people hurt you or when the going gets tough, to just like turn in and just like not reply and just like make the person, like instead of like dealing with it head on, just kind of like pushing it away and just not dealing with it. So that's definitely something that can happen there. Okay, so now the fact that it's opposing Neptune, Mars and Mercury, which is massive, right? So okay, Mercury opposite Neptune can have a very like distorted, like hard aspects. Mercury and Neptune can create like like, first of all, it's really amazing for imagination, but second of all, it can create like a real distorted view of reality where you might like understand really, really high abstract concepts more easier than like the more basic ones. Like my girlfriend's a perfect example. She has this square, it's similar, and like we've been dating for a long time. We know each other well, but she'll just still like just trip about like she like I'm like, it's like I'm sleeping, and she's like thinking I'm like with other girls and stuff. I'm like, no, like literally like I'm sleeping, and I woke up early and then I went back to bed because I like felt sick. It's just like she can have like a very distorted view of like basic stuff, but then she's also very smart. So it's like kind of weird like that, right? So yeah, there can be like a big tension between the day-to-day stream of consciousness and then that more like refined imaginative side, right? So it's a very like dreamy energy with where someone can kind of have their head in the clouds per se, right? And it can make like the kind of practical, which your Jupiter makes in sixth house, makes this way easier because that makes like all the day-to-day stuff like really, really good and lots of luck with like who you work with and your routine and all that. But it can make like the day-to-day stuff way more difficult, right? Yeah, it can make the day-to-day stuff more difficult. And what else can I say? Mercury, Neptune. Yeah, like at its highest, it's like merging. You're able to like have this like you're able to like meditate and like connect to the divine and get these downloads and this high intuition and speak in this very artistic and colorful metaphoric way. On its low, it can kind of create a sort of fog that comes over the mind, which can lead to oppositions, right? like when you misinterpret, maybe there's like a paranoia or something like that, misinterpret like what someone's true intentions are, stuff like that. Let's see here. Yeah, so it's very similar to the square aspect. Yeah, so it's like an inability to distinguish clearly between the real and the unreal. I'm reading from notes here. And of a blockage of the creative and imaginative faculty, the key to resolving these issues appears to lie in your relationships with others, and especially in those projections from your own psyche that you are overlaying onto the world and thus distorting your own perceptions and insight. And it's often your own sensitivity and impressionability to environmental influences that causes inner insecurity and fears of overstretching yourself. Yeah, so it's just like, yeah, that's kind of explaining it well. So then also, of course, besides that, there's Mars opposite Neptune. Now this one, I always say, just don't like most people that are my clients that come to me with Mars square Neptune, Mars opposite Neptune, like it's usually like they're not like, I'm usually like, you have to watch out for substances, and they're, one second, I just have to send a photo of my mom, so she knows I'm busy. Message me. But like usually they're the kind of people that are like, I'm never, I'm not, like, I never use substances. Like maybe like there's like issues like in the family with that, but yeah, like more like, so that's just one thing. Like it has to do with substances. But yeah, Mars opposite Neptune, like I guess like it can create like the internal struggle. Like there can be like overly worrying. It's kind of similar to the Mercury one. The Mercury one's more of the mind, and the Mars one's more about the actions. So it can kind of like appear like a 12th house Mars, where there can be like some self-sabotage, where like you might not like understand a situation properly, and then you act in a way that's like not in line with like the true reality of the situation, right? Let me do my. So yeah, it's very good for like psychic abilities too. Obviously, like the higher realm of this. Like you have to really watch out for like deceptive people. Like energy vampires. People who try to drain your energy. Like you have to watch out because that's the opposition, the lower opposition, right? But yeah, like just really watch out for like, yeah, drugs and lots of people like this, like will very like they'll experiment with drugs and sexuality, stuff like that. But it's all about like this one is definitely about like finding like a creative outlet, whatever it is, poetry, music, whatever it is for you. You don't have to show anyone, and that kind of like gives you like a channel. Like writing would be super, like journaling, that's like a super powerful thing for a chart like yours, because yeah, it creates a very sensitive person, and it's really important to know that you don't have to like live up to like like what the standard of man is in the society or whatever, and be your own person. So so yeah, so that's kind of like the inner planets, the more personal planets, which are like the ones that rule conscious parts of your personality. So yeah, Jupiter sixth house. We talked about that a little bit already. Like it's in the same house as your North Node. So in Aries, sixth house. I mean that just kind of gives you like a kick-ass, like, I don't know, badass attitude when it comes to like just like going towards daily life with vigor. And Jupiter, Jupiter makes everything bigger. So this is actually very good for someone who doesn't have fire in their chart. It makes someone very freedom loving, very inspirational, very spontaneous in terms of like how they go about like seeking truth and seeking like wisdom. And yeah, it's mad like really good like for leadership, right? And the fact that Jupiter is in the 6th house, the 6th house rules health. So this is amazing for like physical health. It also rules your routine. So it typically makes someone who's able to like expand a lot when they have like a very solid routine. Like whether it's like diet, workout, whatever it is, right? But also it's like being of service, right? Right. So it's being of service, whether that's through your job as as an employee or whatever. How you serve people, kind of, right? I feel like I want to open up my notes, see if I can getting something. Where is it? I don't like need glasses soon. I hope not. Nothing wrong with glasses, but I've been like squinting more. I do have F.lux, the program that makes like the eye strain on your computer better. But I should turn my brightness down a little bit. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, so Jupiter. Okay, so let's do what I got here. The 6th. Yeah, so it's really, really good for the health and the jobs. It's a 4. It's a shielding against health problems and gives a great vitality. People that have this, they tend to love to work. Like they actually love. They gain like a deep satisfaction, like gratification through work. And it's really, really good. It makes it really, really easy to like find a new job and to be very impressive to employers. Also, it's very altruistic. So like for like things like volunteering, all that stuff, like they can be very, very selfless. And what else? Also, it can make you like kind of like get a lot of help from other people, right? Like where you just kind of get lucky where there's like other people who just like are down to just like help you on like tons of different projects or whatever it is, right? People who are just there to help you, like if you're moving, for example, right? So really what happens here is, I wrote here in my notes, you could even say that the karma that that one creates with this placement from being of service returns back to him instantly. That's kind of this energy. Also, my client yesterday had this too, and I said the same thing. Great joy can come through small animals. So get some cats, get 4 cats, get 7 cats. Just joking. But yeah, like this can create like a lot of animals where you actually can like expand and really, really gain, especially as a Scorpio. Cats are like obviously, like very psychic, extremely intelligent, deep animals. So with your sensibility, I imagine that you'd love cats, or like, really, really, it's not cats, dogs. What is that? Mika or Esmond, just as I said, your cats are good. You broke something. What are you doing? Esmond. She found a bug, but she pushed over my lights. Ugh. And my coffee things. So yeah, it's a very, very good placement. I'm happy I checked my notes for that. So yeah, besides that, North Node 6th house, it's kind of saying that like you're higher, like the like where you're really trying to get in this life is linked to Aries in the 6th house. So there's a past life tendency of maybe being a little bit codependent in relationships with South Node and Libra, and kind of doing a little bit too much of what other people want. In this life, it's like, nope, like you are doing what you want, right? It's about like being assertive and self-empowered. This is like a huge mission for you in this life, because there can be like lots of like indecisive and wishy-washy energy from past lives, where you like kind of like follow other people's leads. And in this life, it's about like taking your own lead, following what's your own authentic truth, right? Maybe astrology plays a role into that. Who knows, right? And yeah, like initiating your own projects and really, really following that voice. In the 6th house, it's like being of service, also like learning responsibility, like letting go of like the desire to like escape into like this kind of fantasy world, and really like doing the things that I think you do already, but like, yeah, really being kind of like following that Jupiter, like really, really doing the day-by-day things that you know that it takes to get to where you truly want to get. And yeah, the fact that's ruled by Mars up there, in the ninth house, like it could really have to do with finding your voice and find the authentic voice. And yeah, astrology could literally be it, like being a healer. I mean, you have Chiron conjunct your sun. Any planet conjunct the sun speaks to like the identity, like regardless of whatever the sign is. Like maybe you're someone who's meant to really help people find their own voices, right? With it being in Gemini. All right, so then yeah, obviously Venus. I didn't really talk about, actually, I didn't talk about Venus. Venus is unaspected, so that can sometimes make people a little bit like it's in Taurus. So it's in a very strong position. I did skip over Venus. But like, yeah, Venus and Taurus, very well placed. You value like reliability, right? This is usually a slow and steady approach to relationships. So someone who's gonna be very solid and secure that you can count on. And like it really makes someone like really, really love. Also like reliability with finances is really important for you. Enjoying like that's the touches, like the sensuality, like like engaging with the senses, and having a partner that also is like that too, and like kind of like cuddly, that kind of stuff, making food together, like whatever it is, right? Taurus stuff. And yeah, in the seventh house, that is a beautiful placement, and it gives you this real ability to see, like to really truly see the good parts of a partner, which sounds obvious, but it's like not many people have that. And the fact that there's no aspects to it, unaspected Venus, it's very rare because it's never really that far from the Sun or Mercury. There can be like these like alternating outbursts of emotions, right? That just come out. And hi, Esme. Like it can make one, in my experience, like very, very so sometimes like too into love, like to where it's like a detriment. But the fact that you have it in Taurus, like very relationship oriented, it can have that effect. But yeah. 1 second. Yeah, so it just can make someone like a lover because you have such a strongly placed Venus, which also like Venus and Taurus can be like more traditional, but just makes like an unaspected planet makes it so there's like less checks and balances from the other planets, so that planet can just go. But because you have such a strong Venus, it could just make you like really, really like want to like have lots, like very, very love oriented, and probably have lots of luck in that area of life. I don't see it being like an area of life where like where there's lots of difficulty. I mean, you have any squares with Pluto like your boy does. That one really sucked for the first 30 years of my life, and man. So yeah, that's actually an inner planet. I don't know why I didn't say it, but yeah. So yeah, Jupiter. We talked about that obviously just now. The North Node. So now I kind of go house by house. Pluto, I already basically kind of talked about Pluto in the first house. It's really, really about like just being like a transformative leader, someone who's always challenging yourself, someone like basically like you're like it's very obvious. Like Pluto is like this dark, like the darkness. It's like your own personal darkness that when you go into your own personal underworld, you come out with all the gold, right? The metaphor of gold. So when it's conjunct your moon, it's literally right there for you. It's conjunct your sun and your moon. It's obviously going to play a huge role in your life, and shadow work is going to be a very obvious and natural part that I don't really have to really explain that much. But like in the end, it creates a very powerful personality in the first house. And come on, don't you want? You might even have animals, but don't you want one of these babies? What was that? Sorry, weird noise. So yeah, that's kind of that. Like also there can be like trauma like to the body also. Like sometimes Pluto in the first house, there can be someone who's like trying to like repair or fixed in some way, like trauma to the body. Let's see if there's any squares with the nodes. Not with Pluto. There's with Neptune, and there's with Mars and with Mercury. So let me get some books, and it's 141. I love like some readings I won't even like open a single book, and I'll just talk, and some of them I like to kind of read a few things. I always forget what page. That was like 150 something. Yeah, no, it's 144, Jesse. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. 147. I should put a bookmarker. I'm gonna put it like this. Okay, so squares to the north node are skip steps. So when your north node is in Aries, it's like you're trying to be a pioneer, trying to be your own person this lifetime. It's super important. And with Pluto there, you're trying to really be pioneer. It's like you are trying to be a pioneer who is not held back. Like you have relationships, obviously, but you want to have relationships that serve the purpose of your own individuality, right? And ones that are serious, but like they don't hold you back. That's super important. So, and then the fact that Mercury, what was it? Mercury, Mars, and Neptune, right? Double check. Yeah. Which is the closest? Neptune. Okay, so Neptune square the nodes. That's interesting. So maybe I should say your Neptune first. Yeah, let's say this, and we'll do that in a sec. So Neptune in the third house. I always think of Neptune in the third house as someone who has like this. It can be like a double-edged sword where it creates amazing creativity, incredible imagination, especially when it comes to like how you communicate and how you write. However, it can also create that same fogginess that we spoke about earlier, right? Where it's opposite Mercury. So there can be some vagueness in your communication. But with your Scorpio precision, right? Because Scorpio is a very precise sign, it can kind of push some of that away. But yeah, overall, like, Neptune in the third house can also create some confusion with siblings. But yeah, really having like the ability to like communicate through like the arts and whatever spiritual pursuits you take. But there can definitely be like a scattered mind and confusion that comes. So like there's a real need for you with your, you're mostly water and air, right? I mean, I guess you have one planet and Earth, but yeah, like so it's more of a it's mostly water, your chart, let's be real. Like it's mostly water. So you're very, very in tune with the emotional world. But there can be a time where it's like too in tune, where you might think too much into like what someone's saying, right? So like one strategy for that is reality checking. Like if you're in a relationship with someone and you think that they mean something, and you maybe overthink it, or like kind of think like, oh, like is that what they meant, or am I overthinking this? It's called in psychology reality checking, right? It's just called therapy reality checking, which it sounds weird when I explain it to people, but it's literally like just being like, obviously it works better like if you're in a relationship with someone, but or like if it's someone you trust, just be like, hey, I sometimes like misunderstand things, and if they're into astrology, you can literally be like, I have like some Neptune aspects to my Mercury. Most people will be like, what the fuck is that? But yeah, and just be like, like this is like kind of like what I understood of what you said, like, or like is like what you meant, like this is kind of like what I like, is this correct or is this not? And I'm trying to think if I've done that myself. I haven't done that, but I remember in my class and my teacher was talking about how people typically respond, if they're like empathetic, good people, they typically respond quite well to it because you're showing vulnerability and you're showing like, look, like this is something I struggle with, like, please explain. So yeah. Okay, and then Uranus, and we'll just go over like these two, and then we'll jump into like the squares. So by the way, also like midheaven in Leo, we have to talk about that just briefly, because that's ruling your career. I told you before how it's conjunct my South node. that is just making it so like in your career, you're going to want to be someone, you're going to really want to be a pioneer, someone that shines, someone that kind of like takes a route that might be very individualistic, right? It's ruled by the sun. So that means that your career, maybe you're meant to be a psychologist, maybe you're meant to be an astrologer, something that deals with like that same, like you want to have a sync between, this psychological process that you're continuously going through. You want to have that sync up with what you do career wise, right? So yeah, and yeah, taking great pride in your career also, of course, and yeah, like public status is important, and yeah, leadership, like wanting to be a leader, so very important. Okay, so so now the second house plan. So these are interesting, right? So Saturn in the second house can create someone who came from like a poor family, and it can create someone who's very conservative, like with their money, who in some cases, like even if they become like a multi-millionaire, they can still be like have this like fear, right, around money. It's not like a really bad, and it gets way easier over after 30. I'd say Pluto there is a lot harder, but overall, like Saturn, it's still an Earth house, so it's like there's way worse places you can have Saturn, but there can be feelings of emotional and financial insecurity, or poverty, excuse me, like emotional and or financial. I'm doing this with that. Poverty, and usually early in life. Like this is usually something that's early in life. But like the thing that's great about Saturn in the Earth house, I have it too in the 6th. The best is having Saturn in the 10th. Is that you're able to really like build up that ability, and through hard work and persistence, you build up your personal resources, which this is a big thing for you, right? Is that you're really in this lifetime trying to build up your internal personal resources. And by the way, you're gonna have to we're gonna be going through your chart, so obviously not, but like there's gonna be parts of this you might want to like take notes of this. Yeah, you actually definitely should, in preparation for our classes, like take notes of this reading, because there's gonna be things that like when I'm solving this puzzle, like yeah, I'm gonna remember stuff, like things that like I'm gonna like I'm not gonna remember anything, but I'm gonna be able to understand it. But there's gonna be some things that I opened up that I was able to see right now because I'm like so in this that I won't be able to, because probably by the time we start, I probably would have done like who knows how many charts since then. And even like it's all a channel what I'm doing now. So it's like, I mean, I've been told that. I don't know if I believe that, but like proof of that is that like if I'm quiz on a chart, like five or 10 minutes like after I finish, I like literally don't remember anything. Like I maybe the sun sign, moon sign, it's crazy. So yeah, okay. So that's kind of like what Saturn does there. I don't think it's a bad thing. It makes someone very conservative and opposes your sun. So a lot of that could relate to the father, and yeah, just like restrictions, and we have to watch out for workaholism in that place. But then you have Uranus there. So Uranus in the second house is interesting because it can create someone who's like a minimalist, right? And there can be like lots, but also there can be like lots of ups and downs in terms of like income and money. And the thing here, and this is like the big, huge part, like this massive thing with your chart, is that it's trying to make it so you're not dependent on your finances and on the external parts of life to give you value. That you find within yourself the internal, like these like internal tools, like this internal value, right? That is the most important thing. So that when you do go through ups and downs of like finances and possessions, like let's say your income's like here one month and then it's like down here, and it's just about like knowing like even with that, I still have all that I've created, like whether it's like a meditation technique or like just like this understanding of astrology, so you can even like just like understand like the cycles and the transits and how they're affecting you. So very interesting stuff. It's really good for like being like entrepreneurial in terms of like having like very original money making schemes. And yeah, like it's an interesting place for it. It makes them really value their own originality, which is very good, obviously. And once again, it opposes your your sun, but it's not like as intense of an opposition as the one with your Saturn. But really, like hard aspect, Sun and Uranus. Like what I would add is just that it's going to create someone who leads an unconventional life. That's it. And sometimes that's going to piss a few people off, right? Especially if you want to be an astrologer and you're not like really from a family or a background that supports that. Like that could easily be that opposition, right? So yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. Like it creates someone who might go through different career changes, who might have like, is a Gemini who might have like lots of different careers. So yeah. So just more like the partnership stuff. Obviously I talked about Scorpio moon and the importance of having someone who can handle you in all of your emotional states. Juno is one I look at a lot. In Pisces is that you'd be looking in the 5th house, is that you'd be looking for someone who is interested, who is like very interested in spirituality and having a spiritual union, but also potentially having kids, and maybe even like someone who you can have like a creative relationship with, where you guys like create together, right? Or even further than that, someone who you can like, on one hand, like Juno's kind of like your ideal mate. So it's like on one hand, someone who you have this really deep spiritual relationship with, but on the other hand, someone who you have this fun and this lightness, kind of how I was explaining to you, like how me and my girlfriend are like, we have this like real intensity, which is really, really awful sometimes. But then there's like lots of fun, and with the cats and being goofy and being able to be our complete selves. So that's that. Part of fortune, which you have. Wow. So here's another amazing like just synchronicity of how we're meant, me and you are meant to be teacher and student. Your part of fortune is exactly my sun/Mercury. It's 27. My sun/Mercury is 28 Pisces. Your part of fortune is 27 and a half. That is amazing. And it's in the 5th house, which is Leo, which I'm a Leo rising. And basically, like part of fortune, it's basically saying that you find your most joy, whatever I represent, the Pisces that I represent. You can just use your imagination, like that, like kind of having your own version of that, right? Like of that, like spiritual unity, like giving back to people, but also doing it in a very fun way, like in a very creative way, like making your creativity something that might start as a hobby, making that your job. That's like the ultimate for you, right? That's like where you really feel like this flow, this state of flow. That's a really, really good aspect that we have, by the way. I did not notice that. My eyes dying. It's not a thing. Yes, like compassionate service to humanity brings tons of fulfillment. Vertex, where you at? Vertex, where you at? Vertex. Oh, we already talked about it. It's in this 8th house. So yeah, there'll be lots of like really, and also another 8th house tendency is like you just go through lots of really intense and sometimes even fucked up like experiences that just make you stronger, and you feel like I'm fucking unbreakable. Like you start to feel like that, like nothing can break me. I've been through it all. So I'm excited to hear kind of how this resonates. I still have a few things to look at. And also, I did mention the 12th house South node, in Libra, like, like kind of moving towards like the more like away from like tendency to be more overly dreamy and be more like in this world, in this like I know like that it takes this and this to get there, and I know that I'm going to be independent in getting there, and I'm going to so that's another thing with a relationship, right? Is like someone that supports you in that's not bringing you back to that Libra South node, which is like that clinginess, right? That clinginess and that like where you're too much defined by the relationship. You really need to keep your own individuality within that. And it would also be helpful for someone to also be going through her own transformation, someone who's trying to evolve also. And then also like very, very touchy, like very close emotionally, but also very close physically. That's very, very important with the Venus and Taurus, in Saturn or excuse me, in Cancer, in Mars and Cancer. It's like those are two signs that are both speaking to like Taurus, Venus. They love touch, they love cuddling, very like that kind of physical closeness and eating, yeah, all this stuff, like eating good food together, going hiking together, all that kind of stuff, right? And then like, yeah, with the Mars, it's like, like definitely, and with Mercury there too, it's like someone that you can have that these really, really deep emotional conversations with. So they would have, I would imagine that it would be very difficult. I mean, opposites do attract, but like, I mean, I guess like Taurus can, like, I don't know, it's difficult to say. Like, I always try to stay away from like what kind of signs, but like they have to understand these parts of you, these depths to you. So that's super important. Okay, let's see this. And once again, I went way over, but whatever for you, it's special. I'm trying to keep my readings closer to an hour, but it proves to be so freaking hard. Okay, I'm looking for any important fixed star conjunctions, and obviously we're gonna have a lot of time together. So yeah, I mean, I just think that you might be like attracted to an artist in that kind of way. Okay. So let's see here. So algal, which people give such a bad rep, conjunct. Let's see. I'm not getting any information about it, but I know that algal. It's one of these like really difficult one, like fixed stars that can be very like difficult, like can create like lots of negativity. However, it is like it's your Venus, and it's not even like so close. It's still like a good like a degree and a half, like a degree 1.13 away. So it's like, yeah, I couldn't find any definitions of algal and Venus. Let's see, Venus algal. But like I would say that like Venus and Jupiter algal would probably be like, it would probably give like a real deep love for the esoteric. Um, okay, here's algal conjunct Venus. One person says, I wouldn't worry too much about it. The constellation, blah, 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 gives one that's intelligent, strong, bold, and adventurous, but a tendency to lying. Okay. Yeah, so it's not like it's not evil. Just saying. Yeah, I would say this person has a great point. Apparently, having a planet or a sensitive point in your chart conjunct a fixed star isn't a big deal. That's very false. It's not a big deal when it comes to most fixed stars, but there's a few that can like literally like become the biggest deal. This one brings you luck. I think that when it's a big deal is when there's a major transit happening at the fixed star. I disagree with that. Yeah, this person has no idea. Like that was true, but this person doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. So yeah, basically, like usually with stars, it's like with the fixed stars, it's like you really want to they're really good unless it's like Regulus, like one of the four royal stars of Persia, or Spica, like these are the five like best stars or most important stars. Like you really worry about them when they're really, really close. So I would say this is like I've heard about algal being like with Venus being more about like esoteric knowledge and how it can make you maybe more like Scorpio in love, but like yeah, just definitely like a love for like the esoteric and getting to the bottom of things. Okay, let's see. Ooh, okay. So that's really, really powerful. So you have like a very powerful, and what's this one? 11. Let's see. Yeah, so you have very, very Vega, conjunct your sun, which is a very strong. I mean, what am I talking about? Regel. How do those things up? So Regel is very good. It's one of these fixed stars that is it's one of the more important ones. I swear it's like, hey, got some insiders and it's so this is like a really good one for money. So the fact that your son is on there, like maybe there is some inheritance. I don't know. Maybe you do marry rich. I don't know. But Regel, what I can tell you is that it's it's an Orion constellation, and it gives benevolence, honor, riches, happiness, glory, and it's it's a very good one. Very ambitious, and to have your son on there is going to be very good for money. So I'll tell you what it says on the site. It says bold, courageous. There can be a temper, insolent, hasty actions, great fortune, and then a quick rise in life is promised. Remember, these are like really old like definitions. Is promised on account of a strong inherent willpower, love of action, and lucky hand and enterprise. A continuous battle to retain an acquired position has to be waged. This fight at the same time stimulates an increase in vigor, even in spite of unhelpful aspects. Success in reaching a set aim can be secured by this if, however, the native is not cautious or has an attack of weakness, failure, and disappointments, a fall from success will follow. So you just have to watch out for that. But it's overall very strong. So okay, so that's pretty much all I'm seeing. Let's just check. I had like 3 different. Ooh, okay, no, it's not that. Okay. So let's open Jesse 2. We open Jesse 1 and basics. So now we're looking to see if there's anything else. Oh, God. Okay, so still nothing there. Mika. Okay. Hamal on the descendants. Here's Mika. Probably can't see it. So Hamal on the descendant, and anything on Jupiter, and then what's this? The Neb. Okay, so that would be that, and then I'm just gonna go through this list. See if there's anything at 7 Scorpio. See how cute that was. Well, you need a cat if you don't have one. So 12/11 Cancer and 7 Scorpio. 12 Scorpio, 7 Scorpio. Okay, so nothing, no big ones that you're where you have your Mercury and your Mars. And then let's see. Scorpio. Okay. What's the orb? That's a 1 degree orb. I don't really want to talk about ones if it's a 1 degree orb. It doesn't even have like definitions, so yeah, forget it. Okay, and then what was the midheaven? 16 Leo. Okay. Aries cat. So midheaven, let's see if this one gives us anything. Um, Nothing. So yeah, so I talked about the main fixed stars. So that's about it. I swear this is the last reading. I think I'm at like 145. I screwed up. Like 140 something. But you know, for you, I'm down to give this long of a reading. But I have like so many on my wait list, and I have to get them to an hour. But I just wanted you to get an amazing reading and have every little detail talked about. So I hope you enjoy this. So yeah, we can start our classes soon. I'm excited for that, and I'll talk to you later. All right.